Hi, this is Gail, and today I have a twofold purpose in sharing this devotion. I want to warn you about a false teacher, but I also want to warn you about the influence that music can have on our lives. So let me start out, and you may think, what in the world are you doing this for? But let me explain a little bit about Metallica. Now, I don't recommend you do it, but if you research the songs of Metallica, you will find they are dark, disturbing lyrics in them. For example, in one of the songs, they present Christ as the God who failed. At best, the lyrics of Metallica represent the confusion and the darkness of unbelief, but at worst, they mock God. Why am I talking about this on a Christian devotional site? Well, one of the most popular pastors in America, Stephen Furtick, claims Metallica music is one of his inspirations for sermons. Now, I am going to give you the link to the devotion online, and it has the sources where Furtick is making these statements that I'm going to use in this devotion. So please feel free to check that out because I want to be honest about exactly what he said. And when he was preparing for his church's 18th anniversary, quote, I've been listening to Metallica 72 Seasons as preparation spiritually for our 18th anniversary. He went on then to brag about his intimate knowledge of Metallica songs. Now let me tell you about Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin, this is according to Forbes, this is a quote, Led Zeppelin is notorious for the mayhem they inflicted everywhere they touched down. In an era sandwiched between the invention of birth control and the onset of AIDS, Led Zeppelin was drunk with the power of sudden money and the adoration of millions of fans and lived out an extreme version of many young men's fantasies. Led Zeppelin was also accused of ties with the occult based on their band member Jimmy Page's relationship with Aleister Crowley. Now, if you are not familiar with Aleister Crowley, he was a British writer who used sex, drugs, and magic to try to attain altered states of mind. And he achieved such a level of notoriety for his activities that he was brandished the wickedest man in the world. Again, why am I talking about Led Zeppelin and Crowley? Because Furtick talked of how he trains his son in the Lord. And listen to what he said. Quote, I kind of turned the workout room that's in our house into a little bit of a seminary study, like a laboratory where I'm not only showing him how to do certain exercises, but I've been taking him, he's talking about his son, through the top 100 rock albums of all time, right? Train up a child in the way they should go, and the way that they should go is Led Zeppelin, right? We listen to Graves in the Gardens in Old Church Basement. These are elevation songs. But then sometimes we listen to other albums. Let me tell you about Jimi Hendrix and Pearl Jam. Jimi Hendrix admitted that he was possessed by demons. He died by choking on his vomit while he was on drugs. Pearl Jam is known for dark, disturbing lyrics. Again, let me give you a quote from Stephen Furtick. Something funny happened the other day where we were listening to Jimi Hendrix's Little Wing. Now he's talking again about his son, being with his son. Jimi Hendrix's Little Wing, one of the greatest guitar intros of all time. I learned it when I was 14, and LJ Elijah, his son, says to me, this guy sounds like Pearl Jam. He thought Jimmy, 1969, was copying Stone Gossard and Mike McCready, 1991, because he didn't know who was copying who. And I said, no boy. And then there's laughter on the video. You don't have to grow up to be a Christian, Furtick says, but you will know that Jimi Hendrix, there are some things that are non-negotiable. They're copying Jimmy. Jimmy's not copying them. Now, there are many things in Furtick's teaching that are wrong, but this alone should be enough to disturb any Christian. If you listen to Furtick, be aware that you are walking away from sound doctrine and trusting a man who is deeply influenced by evil. Does music matter? Listen to this quote from Got Questions. Whatever a person allows to occupy his mind will sooner or later determine his speech and his actions. This is the premise behind Philippians 4:8 and Colossians 3:2, establishing wholesome thought patterns. 2 Corinthians 10:5 says we should take captive every thought and make it obedient to Christ. These scriptures give us a clear picture of the kind of music we should not listen to. I encourage you not to ever trust a teacher who gets his inspiration from secular rock music, dear friends. So be aware, be discerning, don't lose your discernment. God bless.